My name's Izzy, and today I'm going to be telling my story of moving from Wales to becoming a student at the University of Reading. I'm originally from Cardiff, however lived abroad for the majority of my life. I moved back to Cardiff with my family for sixth form and lived with my mum, dad, sister and cute dog Betty. My higher education journey, started in year 11 when I took an interest in geography GCSE, the human side in particular, and ended up achieving a 9. I always knew I wanted to go into higher education, and geography seemed perfect as I was good at it, enjoyed it, and it opens up lots of doors, as I'm still not entirely sure what I want to do in the future as a career. The next stop for me was to do A-levels. I moved to Cardiff and joined a lovely sixth form where I studied geography, French and economics. I loved this combination as they all interlinked and worked really well together. I began considering what uni I should do human geography at in the second half of year 12, and there was a lot of things to consider. The main things I ended up looking for was somewhere that had a good reputation, a good student life, it was a balanced distance from home, and was in the centre of an overall nice town or city that had a great feel to it. I went to a UCAS fair at Cardiff Met, which had hundreds of UK university stalls who had lots of information and were answering questions. There were also talks throughout the day for advice on many different aspects of higher education. I went to the Student Finance Wales talk. Big events like these can be daunting. Luckily, I had my dad there with me, but I know lots of people whose parents couldn't go, so they just went with friends instead. This event was really helpful for me in narrowing down my options and weighing up the pros and cons of different unis. From the unis I had spoken to at the fair, I began looking up open days for those that I was really interested in. Between May and October of the end of year 12 and the start of year 13, I went to multiple open days across the south of England. These were great fun as it was a chance to really get a good feel for the place and what it might actually be like to live and study there. During the same period of time that I was visiting open days, I got started on my UCAS personal statement. I watched plenty of online guides and tutorials which helped the process as well as starting a few months before the deadline. Once I had applied, I started slowly but surely receiving responses from the 5 universities I had applied to. This was an exciting but also really nerve-wracking couple of weeks, but by March of year 13, I had received responses from all of my chosen unis, a range of unconditionals, conditionals and declines. I then had to decide on the 2 that I wanted to be my firm and insurance choice. Year 13 seemed to be moving really quickly, and before I knew it, school was closed and the world shut down because of the COVID-19 pandemic. My exams were cancelled, which filled me with a lot of anxiety as my grades were now completely out of my control. No longer having exams meant I had a lot of time on my hands to start preparing for my move to university months earlier than expected. My priority was Student Finance Wales. From the UCAS talk, I knew Wales had a different student financing system to England, and they provide a lot more support to students whether or not you're going to a Welsh uni or an English one. The application process was really easy. I just had to answer a few simple questions directly on the website, and then a questionnaire was also sent to my parents to determine what percentage of my finance would be loan and what percentage would be grant. Student Finance Wales got back to me within a couple of weeks, breaking down exactly what I was entitled to and how often it would enter my bank account. I was really happy with the support, as it means I don't have to rely on my parents and I have a lot more independence. Around the same time, I started looking at the accommodation options for the unis whose offers I had accepted. Having been to open days made this a lot easier, as I had already been able to see some accommodation in person and had a good idea of what type of room I wanted. In the summer, I started making a list of all the essentials I would need to live by myself for the first time. The first thing on the list was a cookbook for students. Results day came around after a 6-month wait, and I was so excited to confirm my place at the University of Reading. It is perfect distance from South Wales and really close to London as well. The campus is beautiful and the student life has a really great reputation. Having visited the campus and town before, I knew Reading was the place for me. This is when the preparation really started to pick up. I was able to already cross a few things off my shopping list, as I saw my confirmed accommodation provided it, such as a kettle, a toaster, a mop, etc. I also began connecting with people on my course and in my accommodation using social media platforms. Moving in day was the 19th of September. Saying goodbye to my family was really strange, so I tried not to drag it out too much. My mum drove me to Reading and helped me move into my lovely new room. I started getting to know my flatmates and neighbours straight away, and all my concerns were instantly eased. My mum had always told me everyone is in the same boat when it comes to meeting friends at uni, and Freshers Week made me realise just how right she was. Straight away, I had the Welsh flag up in the kitchen and prepared myself for some rivalry in the upcoming Autumn Nations Cup in rugby. It was a really good laugh. I'm really grateful for all the sessions put on by the uni in Freshers Week, such as how to budget, study abroad skills, an introduction to the department, and many more. I instantly felt at home. I'm now halfway through my first year at Reading, back in another lockdown, but I honestly wouldn't want to be stuck anywhere else. I've made a lovely group of friends here, and I'm also looking forward to taking the train home to see my family for Easter.